I was tackled by a very playful leopard when I was about, I think, 11, 12.
And a massive thanks to my sponsors, I'm Not Plastic, Ocean Freedom Co., Wazoogles, Gudco, Numuti, and SoPure Natural. Here we go. It's the next episode of Down Deep, where we get down and hopefully deep with Amy Lee Tack. Not Tuck, Tack.
Yes.
Welcome, and thanks for coming in.
Such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You've been a busy lady of late. You've been down on the Sea Point Promenade with the Seawalls Artivism campaign in conjunction with the beautiful people over at Wavescape. Amazing mural.
Thank you so much.
Well
I appreciate
done.
it.
But that's not what you're actually known for. But it's pretty cool to see your work like blown up.
It is. It is really cool. Definitely not what I'm known for, given that it's my first mural. I normally do paintings and some brand collaborations. But I love exploring other mediums, and this has been an amazing opportunity to do that.
But before we get into that, I think like just very quick fire, okay? Quick fire, just like boom, 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 boom. Besides art and the love for art on your body and your tattoos and like what else do you love?
Very spoiled in Cape Town. So, quick fire. Shit. Okay. Hiking, yoga, memes, naps, reading, journaling, music, podcasts.
She likes listening to podcasts. Now you're on your own podcast. You'll be able to play this one over and over and over so you can listen to your own voice. 9, give me 10.
Oh my God.
Food.
Yeah. Food.
And
love eating out.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
There we go.
Yeah.
Amy Lee Tack. She loves loads of things besides art. It's great. Now, you got one of the locations in Cape Town because there were several, which was the Sea Point Promenade. It's a busy promenade. You've got people walking their dogs. You got runners. You got rollerbladers, people on scooters. But I suppose you got a lot of interaction from people. And here you are in the sweltering heat. Was it quite hot? Sunny?
I mean, there's like peak times when it gets hot.
Okay.
So like there'll be patches where like you're in the direct sunlight, but until about midday, like you're in the shade. And actually it was like quite chilly some mornings. But then you're like towards the end of the week.
But it's not your quiet, calm, collected, incense burning, music playing studio.
Absolutely not.
You're on the Sea Point Promenade. You've got people interacting. It's almost as if you needed somebody there just to interact with people on your behalf, to tell them what the project was about so that you could just get on and paint your mural. And now we talk about the paints, because I'm sure the type of medium that you used is vastly different to what you use in the studio.
Yeah, chalk and cheese. So I use gouache, and then like a little bit of acrylic, but like minuscule amounts, and then ink as well. So yeah, I'm just not used to working in acrylic very much. And then if you add into the vertical like kind of element into that, and the like gloopiness of acrylic, like yeah, I don't know. I think gouache is a very forgiving, very, very easy paint to work with. Like the color's solid. You know, as soon as you apply it, like if you make a mistake, you can just very gently lift it with some water. Like it's if you can tell, like I love gouache.
Thank you, gouache, for this 10-second paid sponsorship.
This episode is sponsored by gouache. But
it really isn't.
But acrylic, like you need a few coats.
But my understanding of acrylic, sorry to jump in there, but my understanding of acrylic is that you get a water-based acrylic.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really work in acrylic. So we did the like paint mixing beforehand. We kind of all the paint was sponsored, so I'm not actually
Yes.
I'm not sure if it was water based or
Okay.
I assume it was though, because we
You probably would have smelled if it was oil based.
I don't know. I never
Okay.
work with oil based product, but sure, yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean I think you're also able to just like lay down a lot more paint when you're painting flat because obviously gravity is not kind of working against you in that regard. So yeah, the medium was completely new to me. Toya helped me with some spray paint. I did a little bit of spray paint. That was new. It was
Whoa, look at you tagging your wall.
yeah.
Advansky, watch your back.
So yeah, the
cool.
medium was very interesting and yeah, I mean,
It must have felt as if like as foreign as it did for Michelangelo to go from sort of vertical to, well, upside down.
oh my gosh,
you know?
geez, I can't even imagine. Like, I don't even know how you manage that because vertical felt like a lot.
I feel like I need to represent those puppies on the promenade that walked up to you and said, "Oh my darling, this is lovely." Like, but where do you come from? Like, have you got like, are you from like Asia?
I'm picking up like an oriental vibe.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, I think I got ample practice throughout my entire life, but that that general experience was quite prevalent when I waitressed at Hudson's. Like people would be like, "You've got like something different about your face. Like what's going on there?" And I was like, "Oh my God, please just order your burger. I have like 7 other tables." Like,
So
but
you've had to like explain your origins quite concisely very often throughout your life.
Oh yeah. At this point, I am an expert in it. I don't really mind. I think it's like if I'm very busy and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to go into my origin story right now. But I think as humans, like connecting, slowing down and actually being like, I do have time for like, an unplanned interaction is a beautiful part of life that we can all / me get better at. So I don't really mind. Like I think growing up with like an Afrikaans mom and like
Hold on, I was just gonna say there's no ways, Amy Lee Tack, that you were born like in Joburg and like predominantly Afrikaans. There is absolutely no ways.
well, yeah, my mom is Afrikaans, super Afrikaans, blonde hair, blue eyes, like her name's Lizelle, so and then my dad is 3rd generation Chinese. So but yeah, they got divorced when I was really young, so I grew up with her. So I've had a lot of practice reciting my ethnic background to people, and I really don't mind it, I think. But yeah, I mean, we did live in Wellington for a time, so that was like
Not
weird.
New Zealand, folks.
No, like I don't know if I can say Boerewors curtain, but like past the Boerewors curtain. Love Boerewors. No offense to Boerewors people.
Maurice Kukumur said, can you say Boerewors curtain? Also, does Wellington fall under like the Boerland? Is
Yes,
it like,
yeah.
is it the Boerland?
Yeah, it's close to Paarl.
Yeah.
Parel.
Die Parel.
Yeah,
My
that
mates
one.
from Retro Collect, and I think even old Jack Parrow hangs out there every now and then, but Die Parel. So Amy Lee Tuck lived in Die Boerland, not Auckland, Wellington, New Zealand.
Yes.
At what age?
I think like at my most awkward childhood age, which
Wow.
was super fun. I think we moved there when I was like grade 6 and then until grade 8-ish. Yeah. So, I mean, you're already like, most teenagers are awkward and you're like, oh, I'm like a weird little potato. Like, what is life? Let me move to this tiny little Afrikaans town, But yeah, I mean, I think as a kid, I don't want to speak for most kids, but I didn't really want to stand out much. So, which kind of, it's quite sad as an adult because you're like, oh, that's like, you should be proud of who you are and whatever. But I think because my parents divorced really young, I didn't really also have strong ties to my Chinese heritage. Obviously, you lose that, and then also being a Chinese South African family. But yeah, so when the poppies on the promenade ask me now, like it's quite different because I'm like, I really love my unique background. Like I think it's such a special part of me. But as a kid, I was like, oh, don't be different, be like, everyone else. But I think, yeah, again, that is the experience of most teenagers.
And so, like, to dig down into that, like, we've all got stories about, the awkwardness of those years through puberty and just, becoming an adult. But to be a person that looks completely sort of different to everyone around them in a small Afrikaans town, was it in a negative way that you were perceived, or did people actually like, wow, you're exotic?
Oh no, like I mean there's like a mixture, but it's like a small, I haven't really been back there very much, but it's a very small conservative town. So I mean, I had like a group of cool, like weird misfit like friends. So, but for the most part, I think, I don't know, it was like a bit of a mixed bag. But yeah, I mean, without like shitting on Wellington too much, because I'm sure it's a lovely town, and like I think, yeah, I'm sure it's very progressive now.
Well,
But
and you led that progression. I'm sure
oh
they've got.
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
there's one wall in Wellington where there's a bit of graffiti or something.
Oh yeah, just
little
like
bit
a
of,
little, like
yeah,
a dick spray paint. No, I'm kidding.
with a little plaque, inspired by Amy Lee Tuck.
But no, I mean, it was quite challenging as a teenager. And my mom was remarried also to like an Afrikaans guy, my stepdad, Yanni. So like, you very much are, it was me and my sister. So like, I didn't have to be like the only different one of the family. And like, my mom loved us very much. And, but it paints a more complete picture if like her and my dad had still been married. Like, we kind of looked like adopted, which I think people often assumed because like my Afrikaans has always been garbage trash. Yeah. So yeah, it was weird and cool and like teenage vibes.
Okay. And then after the Wellington experience, when did you make your way to Cape Town, to the mother city?
So I've been in Cape Town for a 29-year-old, my memory is quite shocking, but it feels like roughly 8 years.
Okay, so Wavescape, you were recently involved with the artboard initiative and the auction.
Yeah.
Which is where I first sort of looked at your art and thought, this is an interesting style, and you've got sort of a theme throughout your art. What is that?
So I always paint women,
Yes.
and they are always wearing no clothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's been a constant in my work since I started out with like these like little fine liner drawings and like ink black paintings, and then like eventually moved into color after like 3 years. But yeah, it kind of started there, and like it's a really lovely guiding light in all of my work, because I think it can be quite difficult to streamline although that you don't necessarily have to, but it can be quite difficult to streamline and keep your work consistent and theme. But I think, yeah, the theme of like women, especially nude women that are liberated and free, has, yeah, just always resonated with me. And it's a really nice way to transcend mediums. So like, you know, to do a mural, or I've also done some really cool brand collaborations, and I love doing different mediums. And that one constant is, yeah, is always just, yeah, kind of been really important to me.
Yeah, I mean, you found your niche, you found your identity, and through that you, I guess, for want of a better word, stay in your lane, and you know what your output is, because you're in control of and have set your own boundaries when it comes to your creative, what's the word I'm looking for? The word eludes me now. Expression. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you spoke about using this paint, gouache. Do you use it throughout all of your artwork? Is it the only medium that you use now?
So I use, my work is probably like 90% gouache, and then I'll have little touches that'll be ink or acrylic. But it's normally, that's for like metallics. So it'll be, you know, touches on the earrings or like little details in plants and whatever. So it gets this like beautiful shimmer. And yeah, I use gouache on board and paper. I only recently started using board, and that was for my latest show. Yeah. So those are my mediums.
Okay. And the message behind the liberated naked woman, I mean, what is that for you?
So I think it's it's a bit of an ode to self-love and just unapologetic, kind of being who you are, being yourself. I think it's difficult to, I think there's a lot of societal pressure on women to be a certain way and like act a certain way and look a certain way. So the women that I portray are kind of my reminder to just kind of be who I am in all my vulnerability and like essentially nakedness in the world. And like it's kind of a state of relaxation and self-acceptance that I'm always aiming for. And I think it's also served as a message of that to other women. Like it's been really cool to have women reach out to me and be like, you know, seeing this artwork of this woman that looks a bit like me, looking so blissful and happy, just makes me want to love myself more. That's been really special and really rewarding. And also, yeah, I think that's kind of where it started, and that's also been the consistent guiding theme throughout my work. Like the women in my work are always like super blissful and just like in a state of rest in like such a busy, high pressure world. So yeah, I think it's like, even as an adult, having the conversation with yourself where you take control over what you're seeing on Instagram and you're like, I need to actually curate, you know, in my mind, like what's real, what's not, etc. Like that can still be difficult. And, you know, I would just like teenagers and like young girls, and I mean boys as well, like everyone, like I feel really sorry for them, because like I've had to learn that skill as an adult, but your brain just isn't as developed yet. And then, you know, you have like an Instagram account from the age of 12, and like it's already so difficult being a teenager, and then like you're just fed hyper curated, super like presumably like photoshopped, unrealistic stuff, and you're just left feeling like you don't meet that standard. And
I'm
it's
never
just,
going to attain that.
yeah, it's just, it makes me really sad to think about like, you know, potentially my future daughter one day. And I'm just, I don't know, there's a lot of merit to Instagram. You know, it's an incredible source of community. It connects people. It can be an amazing outlet for creativity. But I think in terms of the beauty standards, like it's quite scary. Yeah.
Yeah, we had this conversation about Instagram, and I was saying to you, when we have real, authentic conversations, I think people. Oh, I'm going to actually move a little bit like that. When we have real, authentic conversations, and people can very quickly surmise whether someone is being genuine or, and if they're being disingenuous in any way. And I think your art is amidst, you know, by what I've seen, these women, they're not necessarily the perfect form or the perception of the perfect form either. And what people put out on Instagram and what we fed, what we're supposed to believe, what a woman is meant to kind of like look like or conform to.
Yeah.
And would you say that's part of the message?
Oh,
as
yeah,
well?
that's definitely intentional. Like my painting started out as kind of a challenge to myself, was like my own, you know, like body image struggles and like, you know, the Instagram of it all and this hyper curated beauty obsessed world that we live in. And I mean, some women in my artworks are more, you know, like conventional body types and some aren't. I think the most important thing for me is to showcase a bit of a variety and say any of them are okay, being unapologetically like who you are and being comfortable with yourself and loving yourself with all your quirks and all those imperfections is what's important. Like, so it isn't necessarily just to represent any one body type or like, you know, it's kind of meant to be like an umbrella, like kind of celebration in which a variety of women can find themselves and somebody that they kind of resonate with and connect with that subject matter. So, yeah, I mean, I try to convey a variety of women, just makes your artwork more refreshing, right? Like, so that's definitely intentional and it's been quite important to me. But yeah, I think it's like blah, blah, blah.
It's a portal to balance because there's a load of imbalance as far as the Instagram is concerned and what we're fed with. And
Totally.
subliminally, we're all kind of programmed without even knowing it that the expectancies upon how we perceive, you know, a woman's form, the added pressure it then brings to young women growing up and how they feel they're supposed to look.
Totally.
And without even realizing it, they're actually then thrust into this situation where they're almost living the same sort of life you led living in Wellington, you know, feeling totally like bewildered.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
in a world when they actually shouldn't, you know.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for like, you know, I don't want to sound super old, but like the kids these days. But seriously, because like,
Well, you did tell us you're 29 without even me asking her
look,
age.
the back
kind of just
pain
like,
is it's starting.
okay. You should get one of those ergonomic chairs, you know, that you can in your studio.
No, I prefer sitting like Quasimodo in the dark and just being like,
Yeah, you like painting flat.
Yeah, but
there's
I
your
work
back
at like a
problems.
high table as well
Okay.
and on a stool, so you know.
Okay, cool. So, like you mentioned a scar on your thigh.
Yes.
What's that all about?
I was tackled by a very playful leopard when I was about, I think, 11, 12 in a game reserve, like one New Year's. I was walking back to our campsite at one of, I don't know, and it just kind of jumped me in the dark. But, you
Okay,
know,
so you say tackled, but don't you think it was more of an attack?
no. I think it was a tackle. It just has really long claws. Like, I can't even pull it off and get away with it and be like, I survived this thing because,
Did
like,
you need stitches?
no. Although, actually, I feel like my parents were just like, or my mom was just like, nah, you'll be fine. Just like rub some dirt in it. Like, go fucking climb a tree or some shit. Like,
So you're like walking with your folks, a leopard comes out of nowhere and
I was walking alone.
tackles you.
So it was New Year's. So there was this like socky type jaw happening pretty close to our campsite. And I walked back.
Soki. You mean saki saki?
Is it socky?
Saki saki.
I'm a really bad Afrikaner. Oh God. The flashback.
Lang arm.
That one.
That one.
Exactly.
So there was a lang arm jaw.
Yeah, it was like a New Year's. And then I went back to the campsite to like go fetch something, but it was like the resident leopard, like it was like the pet, so it wasn't this like
We'll cut this
sorry.
out. We'll cut this out. It'll just be this leopard came out of nowhere and
no.
tackled. No one's going to go back and look through the records.
I don't know if
This is your moment.
Jeez, I mean, I don't know if I would have gone in with that story. It's just the first thing that came to mind.
But it's pretty wild that you were
I mean,
tackled.
pun intended. Yeah, tackled by the pet leopard.
And
I
it's
don't
really
know.
fun, actually, like the lang arm,
Yeah.
when you get going.
I don't know. I just
love a
don't
bit of
have
lang
like
arm.
the coordination for that. Like my feet are
But
not
you like
with.
glide.
I
the
don't
wind.
know. I think anything that's like quick movement, I'm like running is fine because it's like rhythmic and it's like one movement or like, but anything that takes any type of coordination.
So you don't
it's
dance
Absolutely not. I mean, I will, but like,
when you're by yourself.
yeah, like I don't think dancing in a club sense is that regimented. Anything that takes steps and memory, that's like 1, 2 step or like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so
Okay.
no dancing.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
I think
awesome.
thank you ever so much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks
Really
for having
appreciate
me.
you coming in, and we're going to leave all the links down below. Show Amy Lee Tack some love. Have you got a website?
Yes, I do.
We'll flash the website link up below.
Awesome.
It's been absolutely amazing getting to know you, hear a little bit about your story, your origins, your likes and dislikes, the challenges with seawalls, but also the most beautiful moments. And if anyone wants to see this beautiful artwork, it's down on Sea Point Promenade.
Yeah.
Look out for it. Amy Lee Tack,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.